All right, so now I'm going to use the food processor. Now, just wanted to show you. Okay, suction cups. I thought that was pretty cool. So that way it doesn't move. Just put her down, give it a shake. Now she's stuck to the table. All right, so unlatch it. Now this here does everything, right? But I already did everything. So I'm just going to use that to puree it. So I don't have to chop it, I don't have to do anything except for I'm going to fill it. And then turn it on and pulsate it. And see what kind of puree I get out of it. I don't want to turn it into a juice or anything like that. I still want some solid into it. So leave them for the sweeper. Now I don't want to fill it up too much. So I'm going to call that quits. And as you notice, I don't have it plugged in yet for safety reasons. There's only one way this goes on, and you got to make sure you squeeze on the handles. All right, now I'll put it on. Just leave that right there. Alrighty then, let's see what happens. Okay, it looks good. I'm just going to give it a little bit more of a pulsation because I cleaned off the sides, and then we'll take a good look at it. But I like what it's doing. I know that this here has a safety device. It will not work if the lid is unsnapped, but I still like to unplug it just to be on the safe side. My fingers. Okay, let's pulsate this a little bit more. You know what? I think that's good. Okay, so let's take a good look at that, see what we got. All right. This is what we're looking at right here. So that's going to be my relish. That's the consistency right there. Okay. So now I'm going to put that in another container. And I'm just going to keep processing that until everything's done. Then once everything's done, then I'm going to put my salt mixture in it. Okay, just an update. This is the machine that I have. It's called the 4-cup, 14-cup. Processes very nicely. So there's my last bowl that I just mixed up. And I'm just starting to puree it now. But just to show you, when you puree it, look at the wetness. Lots and lots of liquid. So, look at that goodness right there. So what I've been doing, it's coming over here, is I've been putting it in my strainer, my steamer actually, and I'll just lift this up. So there you go. That's one batch. There's how big the bowl is, and there's the batch. But check out that. Now that, in the freezer, man, oh man, you couldn't ask for better for making soup. Even stew, if you want to, if they say, you know, to add water or whatever, add this stuff. But look at that. That would be great for soup. I think I'm going to save some of that. But anyways, look at the difference after it's been pureed. All right, I'll get back to you when it's time to put the salt in. Okay, now it's time to give it the salt bath so that we can let it sit all night and it'll draw out all the remainder liquid. And the calculation that I have for the 3 containers is 1 cup of pickling salt per batch. So there you go, on our boat. So all I'm going to do is sprinkle that in. And then mix that around. Make sure it's all mixed in pretty good. It sounds like a lot of salt, but tomorrow, when I get back at this, we're going to be rinsing that under cold water for quite a while to get rid of whatever liquid we have and whatever salt's in it as much as we can. And then after that, we're going to try and squeeze whatever we can for juices out of the batch, because when we put it in the brine, we want all the water gone. So there you go, this is mixed up. I'm going to do the other 2 batches. This is going to go in the fridge, and we'll see you in the morning. For you, it's only going to be a couple of seconds. For me, it's going to be 12 hours later. Well, good morning, everyone. All right. This sat 16 hours in the fridge with the salt. Okay? And you can see it's very wet. So what I'm going to do now is I got to wash it, right? But just to give you an idea, you can see all the juice. Like that's all got to come out, right? So what I got to do, oh, this one's even more. So now, okay, so now what I got to do is I have a pot in the sink I'm going to use my screener and I'm going to wash this under very, very cold water. And I'm going to wash this to try and get rid of all the salt flavor. All right, the salt did its thing, and now we don't want it. So let's get rid of it. So all I'm going to do is take this over to the sink, put this in my big pot. That way I don't lose any ingredients. And I'm just going to start using cold water and mixing it around with my spoon to make sure that it comes clean. Then I'm going to transfer it into a bowl so I can keep an eye on it and let it drain some more. The more liquid I get out of here, the better, because later on, what I'm going to have to do is squeeze all the liquid out of it that I can. And then I'm going to make my brine, and after I make my brine, I'm going to cook it, and then after it's cooked, then we're going to jar it, then we're going to can it, and then we're going to be done. So right now I'm going to step aside and start to clean this. And I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm just going to flip the camera around. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'll put this here, because that's what we're going to clean. There's my spoon. Okay, set the water to spray cold. Okay, so I'm just going to scoop this out. Just give me a minute. Do a little bit at a time. It just sits right in there, which is helpful. Now I'm just going to wash it. So, as you can see, it's dripping. Okay? But all I got to do is clean her up, move her around. Then I'm going to let it sit and transfer it to my bowl. That way I can keep an eye on it. And I'm going to do it all, and I'll get right back to you. So this is my last batch that I'm rinsing off right now, and I rinse it, let it drain, mix it around, just to get rid of all that salt. Okay, and then I just give it a squeeze down a little bit. Now I do that about 3-4 times, just to make sure that the salt's gone. And then, basically, after that process is done, then I go over to my second station, right here. And in my second station here is another colander, and I'm just squeezing out whatever I can in liquid. Okay? Everything that I possibly can. Then after I'm getting hardly any water, then what I do is I put it to my last station, which is right here. Okay, and that's another colander. And just by the weight of my ingredients, it's taken out a lot of the water. I just want to show you something. I'll just move this, and bring it in. All right. This is my small colander right here. Okay? And then the small little batches that I got here and the one that I got in the sink. all that filled up 2 of these big bowls. You've seen it when I put it in the fridge. They were over half. All fit in here, besides them 2 right there. That's how much juice and liquid that I got out of this. By adding the salt, you're getting all the liquid out, and that's what you got to do. And if you look at it, this is only the beginning. But if you look at it, like that's a nice relish right there. All right. So that's why it's important to clean it, drain it, take all the moisture out. Now that this is done, I still got to squeeze out whatever more I got, but I won't do that until I start the brine. Once I got the brine started, then I'm going to take this and do a final squeeze to take out whatever juice I can. And I'll get back to you when that takes place. See you in a bit. Okay, so literally I just want to show you that yes, I did squeeze them into balls. Okay, like you can see, perfect little balls. And I squeezed all the water and moisture out of it that I can. I did the whole batch. Now, the reason why I did that is I don't want water in my sweet relish. I want the brine. So that's why I got rid of all the water as I can. So, yes, I squeezed them just like little balls. There, you can see there's no liquid coming out. Try this one. You know, so that's what I did. So now what I'm going to do is, this is perfect. This is crumbly. Okay. Very crumbly. So now that it's crumbly like this, I'm just going to let it sit here. And I'm going to start putting my brine together. And I'll get back to you. Okay, so for my brine, right now in my pot, I have 36 cups of white sugar. And I'm going to put in 24 cups of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to put 3/4 cups of celery seed. I'm going to put 3/4 cups mustard seed. And right there basically is about 3/8 of a spoon of crushed red peppers. That's what's going to go in there. So this is the end here for the brine. So that's all going to go in there. And then all my spices. Probably be easier if I just bring the spices to the stove. Yeah. Anyways. There she goes. All right, so right now, all the contents in here, all the sugar in here is all melted down. So now that it's melted down, except for 2 crystals, I'll get rid of that. Check again. Okay, so it's all melted down. So now I'll put in my mixture. So now I'm just putting in everything in here. I'm just going to spoon it in for now because I don't want to splash it. But that's what I'm going to do, okay? Everything's going to go in here. And then I'll get right back to you and we'll bring it to a boil. Okay, now that I got everything in here, I'm just going to mix it up, break it up. Now I'm just going to bring it to a light boil. and then put the timer on for 10 minutes. And I'll get back to you once that takes place. Right now I'm just going to make sure everything's all mixed. That's what it's going to look like. Okay, I'll get back to you once it starts to boil. Alright, so she's just starting to heat up good now. So now I'm going to start the timer for 10 minutes. And I'm going to keep on stirring. And I'll get back to you in 10 minutes. Alright, this is store-bought, but just for a comparison, I just want to show you something. Okay, is it going to focus? You can see what I'm after. That's exactly the consistency that I'm after in there. That's what I'm looking for. Alright, now as far as the color goes, I can tell you right now, anything you buy in a store is all artificial coloring. Don't be fooled by the color of what they got. That's all green dye in there. Alright, so what am I doing in here? Is the same thing. If I just scoop that up. Okay. So that's exactly what I'm looking for right there. Just want to show you the difference. But mine's going to be all natural with no food coloring and special additives that takes a scientist to describe. I'll get right back to you. I just also wanted to add too there is like this is basically what I like and what I wanted. Okay. But if you wanted something that's a lot chunkier than that, like that's a nice, whoops, let me focus. Like to me that's a nice relish. But if you want something chunkier, more of, let's say you want a chutney or something like that, well then just do the exact same thing that I did all the way up until I used the processor. And then instead of using the food processor, just use a Ninja chopper and then just chop it so you get finer chunks. And then that way you got more of a chutney. But myself, it's not the consistency what I was looking for. I was looking for a relish. And to me, this is what I consider a relish. On top of a hot dog, a hamburger, or if you want to use it as a topping on your salad or something like this. To me, that's a relish. Anything thicker than that, to me, is a chutney. But then again, I was a railroader, not a chef. I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. But anyways, I'll get back to you. Okay, there's the timer. Shut off the stove. Alright, so now I'm just going to let that sit so it calms down and cools off. Because remember, I got a little bit of sugar in there. And you know what happens when sugar boils. You can burn yourself pretty bad. So I'm going to let this cool down now so that I can handle it. And I'll get back to you when it's time to jar everything up. So what I'm doing now is I'm just using my screen. And I'm just going to scoop it. Let it drip. Because I want to control my my liquid in my jars. So I just scoop it with my little screen. Look at that, eh? Doesn't that look good? I'll tell you, it smells good. So even though it's just dripping a little bit, To me, that's good enough. It's getting the majority of the liquid out. Then I just put it back in here. So that's what I've got so far. Now, as you can see, I still got liquid. But what I want to do is fill my jars with the product. And then once the jars are full, then what I can do is add some of the juices. But for now, I want to concentrating on the product rather than the juice. If you know what I mean. Okay. I'll be right back. All right. So now it's time to fill the jars. Now, just want to show you. She's nice and thick. Nice and thick. It's all mixed up. It's a little juicy in the bottom there. See? That's the way I like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill my jar. Instead of filling it right here, I'm going to go just a little bit lower. That way I can add a little bit of juice afterwards. And again, just stay no higher than the center thread, so you got a 1/2 inch breathing room. But I'm going to go just a little lower than the ridge here. That way I can top it up with some juice. All right. I gotta get used to this because I've been so used to filling the real big jars, but now I'm only filling these little ones. So I gotta be careful not to overfill them. I wish you could smell it. It's got a very, very nice smell to it. Alright, so that's basically what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get my spatula, and again, I'm going to just take the air out. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Then I'm just going to top it up with some liquid. See, I want the majority of it to be the relish. I don't want a lot of liquid. So anyways, I'm going to fill up my jars and I'll get back to you. All right. So as you can see, I filled it just below the line a little bit. And then I filled it up to the middle ring. There's a 1/2 inch clearance on all of them. So that's the only bit of juice I'm going to have in all the jars. So these 6 are ready. I'll just put them aside and let's see how much we get out of that bowl. All right, so behind here, these jars here that I filled are 250 milliliter jars. Very nice jars, especially for jams and stuff like this. 250 milliliters is a perfect size. All right. So that whole batch that I did, once I drained all my juice, I ended up with 33 jars. So now that I got the 33 jars, everything's ready to go. All I got to do now is get the hot water bath ready, put them in there, let it go through all its cycle. But anyways, that's what we ended up with, 33 jars. Perfect amount. In the bottom, I will put the recipe, and it'll be like a double recipe. I'll tell you exactly what you need for a double recipe. This one here, that I did the 33 jars, okay, that was 6 of the double recipes, just to give you an idea. All right? So, anyways, I'll give you the recipe on the bottom. You can cut it in half or double it or triple it or 6 times, you know what I mean? But anyways, that's what we got so far. The canning process, that's going to be easy. All right. So what I want to show you is what you got here. Okay, a little bit of juice on the spoon. There it is. Okay, there's your relish. You notice how it's not runny. Okay. That's exactly the way I have it in the jars. That way, when you put it on your hot dogs or your hamburgers, or if you mix it with anything else like a salad or potatoes or whatever, however you want to do it, it's not going to get all your bread and everything mushy full of juice. Okay? And I'll tell you right now, oh, yeah. Lots of flavor, man. You're going to really like that. So anyways, that's what I have. It's not enough for a jar, but I'm going to put a cellophane over top of that, throw that in the fridge, and I think I'm going to eat that with toast. So anyways, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining me. And you know what? Canning's not easy. It's not. There's a lot of work. Once you're set up though, once you got the pressurized, once you got the hot water bath, once you got like the pressurized canner, I know it could be expensive, but once you have that and everything else, every year after that it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, because all you're doing is, the first couple of years you're going to be buying your jars, then you got to get all the different sizes. After that, you keep your rings, and all you're buying is the little flat lids. That's your cost. And then you're taking your garden, and you're doing stuff like this. That saves you money. Not when you're first starting out. But once you've got it, and you've been doing it, every year it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Like, figure it out. You know? 33 jars of relish, homemade, not store-bought stuff. How much? Put a price tag on that. All right? Put a price tag on that. And then put a price tag on, what did I use? Just under 4 kilograms of sugar. And a little bit of spices. So it didn't cost me much money to make that. And I can enjoy that for quite a while. So anyways, thanks for dropping by, guys. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment. And you guys take care. Happy canning. Peace out. Bye now.